Picture a heavy door in a monastery archive. It opens with a slow groan, and the dust rises like breath. You do not enter a room, you enter a century. In those pages, France is not yet a clean shape on a map. It is a land of forests and toll bridges and fortresses. The crown exists, yet it often feels like a candle in a draught. Here is the thread we will follow. The French crown rises because it learns endurance. It learns to make authority repeatable. It learns to turn personal vows into public order, not with one dazzling triumph, but with a long chain of choices that survive the people who made them. At the start, the king's reach is narrow. Beyond his own lands, great lords rule almost as kings themselves. A duke can raise troops and ignore a request. A count can stop a messenger at a gate. Power sits in castles and on saddles. Feudal life is kitchen. A man kneels and swears. A lord answers with protection. The bond is real, yet it is also fragile. If trust breaks, steel speaks. To feel the problem, you must imagine distance. A royal order has to travel on muddy roads. It can be delayed by weather. It can be stolen. It can be laughed at by a baron who thinks his tower is law. The king must bargain for passage. He must borrow strength. He must treat pride like a currency. In such a world, even a marriage is a treaty. Even a baptism can be politics. Even a feast can end with hostages. The first engine of ascent is simple. Survival over time. The Capetians begin in 987, and they keep the line unbroken. That sounds ordinary. In the Middle Ages, it is a weapon. They secure succession while the reigning king still lives. They place the heir beside the throne, so the realm practices continuity. Each smooth handover lowers the cost of the next. Each decade makes the crown feel less optional. Royal land grows through marriage and inheritance and purchase and careful pressure. Some gains are quiet. Quiet gains last. A weak reign can still pass the torch. A strong reign can push the border a little farther. The second engine is the slow invention of a state. Royal officers travel and hear disputes. They record decisions. They bring back revenue. Written orders start to matter beyond the king's personal estates. Courts give the weak a place to appeal against the strong. Violence does not vanish. It changes direction. When a judgment is written down, it can be repeated. Repetition becomes precedent. Precedent becomes authority. Towns add another pillar. Charters grant rights. Markets grow. Coin flows. The crown gains income that is measurable and reliable. That money pays for bridges and garrisons and men who serve for wages. In a feudal world, this is the beginning of central weight. Now the story sharpens into recognizable turning points. Philip Augustus expands the royal orbit and pulls key territories back toward Paris. His successes are not only conquest, they are arguments. They say the king can judge and enforce his judgment. Bouvines in 1214 is one of those moments. It is a battle that becomes a message. People remember it in sermons and in songs. Memory itself becomes power. Louis IX deepens a different kind of authority. The legends show him judging beneath a tree. The details may be polished, yet the direction is clear. The crown wants to look like justice. It wants to sound like fairness. That image travels beyond France and returns home with extra weight. Pilgrims repeat his name. Clerics copy the stories. Even critics speak in his language because it has become the standard. Then Philip IV arrives with a harder hand. He demands resources. He summons assemblies. He leans on towns. He pressures nobles. He also collides with the church. The struggle is not only spiritual, it is about who speaks last inside the realm. The crown learns to use law as a blade. It learns to frame conflicts as jurisdiction. It learns that control of courts can be control of destiny. War is the harsh teacher that completes the lesson. The 100 Years' War is long, it is exhausting, it is full of reversals. France nearly breaks. Yet pressure can forge, taxes become broader, armies adapt, local loyalties begin to share space with a larger cause. At first that cause is only survival. Later, it starts to sound like identity. When Joan of Arc appears, she speaks into a kingdom that is ready to believe a kingdom exists. Her voice is a spark. The wood is already dry. From that point, the crown grows into habit and structure. Standing forces become more normal. Regular income becomes more expected. The king can still be hated. The office is harder to erase. A rebellion may win a season. It cannot easily unmake the idea that there is a center. You can watch the change even in small rituals. Seals become more common. The fleur-de-lis appears again and again on waxen cloth. Royal proclamations begin to sound less like requests and more like rules. Measures and coins are standardized in places. A traveler starts to notice familiar marks from town to town. Priests pray for the king by name. Lawyers argue with references to prior judgments. These details seem minor at first. Together, they train the realm to expect the crown as part of daily life. And there is a human side that survives the big dates. A peasant wants his field protected from raiders. A merchant wants a road that stays open. A widow wants a court that will hear her case. When the crown can offer even a partial answer, people remember it. They tell their children where to go for justice. They learn that the king is far away, yet still reachable through a system. That is how an idea becomes real. So the rise of the French crown is not only knights charging on open fields. It is also scribes writing in cramped hands. It is weddings arranged for borders. It is law courts that outlive tempers. It is the steady claim that a dispute should end somewhere. Over time, that somewhere becomes the crown. Not perfect, not gentle, just enduring. Look at the long arc, and you see a change in habit. The night begins as a local storm. He ends as part of a realm that expects order. Great lords are not simply crushed. They are negotiated with. They are drawn into a hierarchy where their pride can be used. The monarchy grows because it becomes the place where titles are confirmed and where peace feels possible. Take one breath and hear the centuries settle. The clatter of armor fades and the scratch of a pen remains. Open those pages again and listen. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and step into the next archive. The French crown rose by making power last beyond men.